Okay, today is Tuesday. It's 7:37 p.m. It is May 20th, 2025. It is 5 years into this journey. It's a one-way journey. I mentioned this in the past about this movie called Gattaca. This is a this is a movie called Gattaca. In this movie, it's like spelunking. It's very similar to spelunking, but there's some similarities in the perfect society that humanity has created in this movie called Gattaca. And for those who are imprinted, who have a genetic code that is less less than perfect, then I and they are relegated to mediocrity. And in particular, he wants to go on the spaceship, rocket, and then launch off. So in order to do that, he uh, he took on the persona of an Olympic athlete who injured himself in order to get on the rocket and fly off. Now, that's that. But there is a little side story about his earlier days, and apparently him and his friend, who is a superior genetic makeup, decided to have a bet to see who can swim farther out. And then and that was it. Whoever could swim. And obviously because he was a, a genetically inferior, the superiorly genetic coded individual took on the challenge. So they started to swim out. But because the person was so smart, the genetically superior person, he knew that he had to save something to return. Otherwise, he was going to just drown. Because, because he knew he had already calculated that if he goes any further, he's going to exhaust himself and won't be able to return to the coast. But if he was really smart, then he would have just did a backstroke and got in. But maybe he thought of something else too. So then, because he knew the main character knew that this, he didn't leave anything behind. He just went for it. He just went for it. He didn't save anything. Okay. Now, coincidentally, um, I seem to be in a very similar situation as well. Uh, so what I did was I launched off. I knew that this was the only thing that I can do. Uh, there's, but so far I'm not profitable yet. Okay, all right. But anyway, that's the beside the point. Okay, that's beside the point. Now I noticed something. I was like scratching my head. I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, I was trying to. I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure this very very critical thing, because um because one of the statements that people talk about is, okay, so how do you uh uh how do you escape a forest? Okay, how do you escape a forest? Okay, and it's not through looking way ahead. It's looking at the first few steps. Apparently that's the wise statement that people make. And so now, where am I going with this? Okay, where am I going with this? So, okay, it all boils down to this gold trade I just made. Okay, this is a gold trade. So, currently, the price was at about 3303. Okay, the price was at 3303, and it started to scream up. Okay, it started to scream up, and then I got in at 3308.883 with a 0.11 lot, which is big. Then it went up and it made me $19.47. And then I got out at 3310.66162. Okay? Then I thought to myself, now, because I've been on this journey to figure this thing out about, okay, so how do I Okay, so see support and resistance here. Okay, support and resistance here. And if there's enough momentum, it's gonna launch right to this. So if I were to like go, okay, so I liken the support and resistance as Earth and the Moon, or Earth and Mars. Okay, where support is the Earth and resistance is Mars or the Moon. So let's say it's the Moon. So if that's the case, then there has to be a sufficient amount of velocity, acceleration, velocity, and momentum that keeps the rocket on its journey to the moon. Okay? And so, one way to view that is a parabolic move that I just saw with the gold. But there are other means of moving in that direction, okay? There are other means that says, okay, it's going to keep going up. It's going to keep going up. So for instance, I thought about this. I thought about this for quite a while. I've been thinking about this for, well, not quite a while. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing for the last 5 years. But this is a very, very important part, okay? This is a very, very important part. So I started to question myself. I started to question myself. Now, the parabolic move, the reason that I knew it is because it was moving so fast that it was just going to keep going up. It's like a rocket ship launching off. And so when I got in, as long as it had its acceleration, the velocity and momentum, at that moment when I got in, that there is a high probability that it was going to continue moving on that trend. Okay? And then I got out before it reversed, okay? So even though it reversed, the red candle did not drop below. It dropped briefly, but it came back up above before it started to come back down. And so there is a probability of me entering into the trade having a very, very good idea, because any other place that I did that, like just before it launched up, it was like dithering right there. So if I gotten in, it would have dropped a little bit, I would have lost. It would have dropped a little bit, I would have lost, right? And so what I noticed is that there is a correlation of these three components, which is the velocity, the acceleration, and the momentum. Okay? These things define how far it's going to go in between the support and resistance. If there is sufficient amount of rocket fuel and the momentum and the acceleration and the velocity going in that direction, as long as the trend is going, it's going to go towards the moon and reach that resistance level. Okay, that's what it's going to do. Okay, it's going to get there. Then I asked myself this question. Okay, so when it does this, I can see it, but how do I know when it's moving like this or moving like that? How do I tell? How do I tell? So each of these candles provides clues. So these candles provide clues. I'm just looking at it. So now it came back down. So here's a red candle, red candle, red candle, red candle, red candle. And I can look at these and say, okay, on these times, if I were to break this up into smaller increments, there are green candles squeezed in between because these candles have little tails on it. Tails means that, sure, it went down, but there's a green candle that came back up and did this, just like that. And so now my next question is, what are the combinations, the sequences of strings of candles that tells me that it is continuing? Okay? It is continuing on its journey in the direction of the trend. What is that? What mechanisms and what candles is it showing that it is still moving in that direction? Okay? So I thought to myself, wow, that's it. Because I was like, I sent a text message to a trading buddy of mine and I says, boy, I would love to make like a lunch money, which essentially right around here it's about $20. Okay, unless you're over 55, right? And then because you get a discount, and or you're over 62 years old in certain places. So I'm looking at this situation. Okay, I'm looking at this situation. I'm saying to myself, yeah, this parabolic that works that I saw, I can take a piece of it and make gains on it. And then now I'm trying to correlate. I'm trying to figure out how does that fit in with something that is not vertical, not parabolic. How do I trade that? If I can trade this right there, because that's how it moves most of the time. It's rare to see a parabolic move, okay? But there tends to be lots of these angular movements, either this way or that way. There's a lot of these going on, like that, even like this, like that, right? And so, in order for me to take advantage of the most instances where the trading occurs, is to take advantage of that angular movement, not the vertical movement, but angular movement to a particular defined by a particular trend going in that direction, and also creating these individual candles that are telling me it's moving in that direction. So now I can piece together what are the similarities between the parabolic move and the moves that are moving on an angular way, okay, with a certain incline. If I can figure that out, right? If I can map it out as soon as it starts on a certain combination of candles, like engulfing candle, and then followed by the like type of candles on it, whether it's going to be going up, whether it's going down, then I can take advantage of that, right? So in order to react or predict what will happen 20 to 30 candles down the road, I have to relate that to the parabolic move that defines the acceleration, the velocity, and the momentum, so that until it reaches the point of resistance, okay, resistance or support, then I can expect that the candles that are being painted are giving me clues to the movement that I'm going to see all the way down to the support or resistance.